All right, lace them up, sports. Let's go.
Let's go.
Will somebody tell me if we're supposed to start the program?
Freeman hits the ball to right field.
Into right field.
She is gone. Oh, what a pass. Doncic, perfection there on the assist. A little magic from Doncic. Stafford takes the shoulder, takes a shot downfield. It is caught by Nacua. He picked him on his shoulder and made the catch. One of a kind player. One of a kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club. Tipped up and in on the count. LeBron James at the buzzer.
This game's in the Admiral refrigerator. The door is closed, the lights out. Butter's getting hard, the eggs are cooling, and the jello is jiggling.
Hello and welcome to the LA Sports Roundup podcast. I am your host, Mike Andrade, sitting recording June 1st, 2026. Guys, it is summer. Summer is here. I feel like the 1st of June, it may not be the official start of summer, technically, but I think it is the official start, technically, for me. Really, June 1st, we're in summer, baby. We're getting our dad bods ready for summer. Or maybe we're just, gonna continue to have a dad bod. However you feel comfortable. We are in summer, and it is now officially the dog days of sports. But it doesn't have to be the dog days of podcasting. We have a lot to talk about. It's been maybe about a week and a half since I've come to you guys with a new podcast. So lots going on with the Lakers, lots going on with the Rams, lots going on with the Dodgers. We're going to get into every single bit of it today, guys. And before we start, you guys know where you could find us at Lace 'em Up Sports on all of our social media platforms, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube, whether you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Lace 'em Up Sports, Lace 'em Up Sports Media, that's the name of our company. But Lace 'em Up Sports, that's where you're going to find us on all of our social media platforms. Guys, please do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe to all of our social media platforms. Get our numbers up. It comes down to your guys' support, and I cannot thank you guys enough for doing so. But please, if you haven't done so already, just hit that like, subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on any of our things coming up at you this summer. So today, we are diving into what may be the biggest organizational transformation the Lakers have experienced since Dr. Jerry Buss purchased the franchise nearly 5 decades ago in 1979. And we're in the year 2026. So this is a huge summer. I've kept saying it for months and months and months. This is a huge summer for the Lakers organization. And when Mark Walter officially became the Lakers' majority owner following a record-setting $10 billion sale from the Buss family, many fans assumed the biggest changes would happen on the court. But instead, we're seeing something much larger in a sense. We're witnessing a complete modernization of the Lakers organization from top to bottom. And if this feels similar, that's because Laker fans have already seen Walter's blueprint before. We've seen it with the back-to-back defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. When Walter and the Guggenheim Baseball Management took over the Dodgers in 2012, they inherited an historic franchise that was operating more like a family-run business than a modern organization. Before they took over, you had the McCourts basically running the Dodgers franchise into the ground, just being so cheap with everything that they didn't want to invest into the Dodgers organization the way they should have. Much more like the way the Angels are being run right now with Artie Moreno, not trying to invest in the team. But when the Guggenheim baseball management group took over, it really just modernized the Dodgers. And over the next decade, they transformed the Dodgers into arguably the gold standard of professional sports organizations. And now, with that same philosophy, they're trying to implement that with the Lakers. Now let's start with the front office. For years, the Lakers were known as one of the smallest basketball operation departments in the entire NBA. I mean, they relied so heavily on what used to be called the Laker way, keeping everything very much in-house. The biggest example of this was keeping Joey and Jesse Buss in charge of the scouting department. Now, they didn't do a bad job. Obviously, there's guys that they have seen and they have brought up, when guys like Alex Caruso and Josh Hart, Austin Reeves, so on and so on. They didn't do a bad job, but it wasn't what modern NBA teams do. Modern NBA teams have centralized people that are in charge of these scouting departments, and they're a much larger department rather than just two guys that were the sons of Dr. Jerry Buss. And what they did was they just hired people that they could trust to help run the organization like that. Basically just relying heavily on long-time relationships. But it wasn't really anything that was modern in the NBA. That it was a relatively lean staff compared to organizations like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, even Golden State. But things are changing very, very quickly. The Lakers have begun adding executives with backgrounds in analytics, strategy, business intelligence, and organizational development. Now, general manager Rob Pelinka still remains the head of basketball operations, but they had talked about a couple weeks ago in the Lakers' end-of-season press conference where they talked about their hiring for an assistant general manager, and that is something that they have done. One of the most notable additions in the last week or so was the addition of Roham Ramadas, who has joined as an assistant general manager of strategy and data systems. His role is designed to expand the franchise's analytics department and bring more of a data-driven decision-making into the basketball operations, which is something very similar that Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers does with the Dodgers organization. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Friedman had a helping hand in hiring Rohan to fill this position, because that's just the way modern sports organizations run things now. The organization is expected to continue building out scouting departments, player development, and analytic departments in ways that simply weren't prioritized during previous eras. This isn't necessarily an indictment on how the Buss family operated. It's just an acknowledgement that professional sports have changed. Championship teams today aren't built solely on let's just throw money on player X, Y, and Z and they can deliver us a championship. That's not how championship teams are built. Now, you may look at the Dodgers and say, oh, they spent on Ohtani, they spent on Friedman, they spent on Mookie Betts. One, it's a completely different sport. But two, they're not just spending on guys just to spend. They're bringing in, obviously, Shohei Ohtani was the number one player in the world. But guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, you can even say Kyle Tucker and Yamamoto, all these guys that they have brought in, they're culture-fitting guys. You can't just pay player X like a Juan Soto and expect him to fit in, because if a player doesn't buy into your culture, then all that talent and all that money isn't worth shit. So the Dodgers have done a great job at building their foundation through what their culture is, through their manager Dave Roberts, and all through everyone through up and above the front office, building that culture. And that's what you want when you are bringing in players to succeed for your team. But more importantly, they're built through information, they're built through technology, they're built through infrastructure, which means the data. You're bringing in guys that can fill what you need through data measured analytics. And clearly, Mark Walter clearly believes that the Lakers need to catch up in those areas. But the biggest headline over the last week has been the layoffs that the Lakers organization has done. According to multiple reports, the Lakers recently informed more than a dozen employees across several departments that they were being let go as part of a broader organizational restructuring. Marketing, communications, content creation, corporate partnerships, and other business departments were being impacted. Now, whenever layoffs happen, obviously real people are affected, and that's never easy. It's never easy to have a group of people that have been working for the Lakers for almost decades, and to tell them that they're being laid off. That's never an easy thing to happen, and you never want to see anybody lose their jobs like this. So it's not a good thing, humanistically. But as a business, it's good for the Lakers because this is what exactly they need. Mark Walter isn't just replacing these people with the other personnel. It's more than that. It's reshaping the entire corporate structure. The Lakers have operated under a family business model for decades. The new ownership group appears determined to create a larger corporate infrastructure that resembles the Dodger organization. One major hire is Lon Rosen. Dodger fans know him very, very well. Rosen spent years building the Dodgers' business operations and marketing machine. Now he's serving as president of business operations for the Lakers and helping oversee the organization's transformation. This is where things get really, really interesting, because when you look at what's happening behind the scenes, it becomes clear that Walter isn't just trying to own the Lakers. He's trying to build an NBA version of the LA Dodgers. And like I've said in the past, this isn't Major League Baseball where you can just keep throwing money at players and, hey, if we throw, X, Y, and Z contract at player X, then maybe he can sign. This isn't that. But the biggest way you can do that and throw money into your team is actually building the practice facility into a more state-of-the-art facility than it already is. The Lakers' UCLA Health Training Center in El Segundo has been one of the league's most recognizable facilities in years. I've had the pleasure of being there many, many times over the years because of my season tickets with the South Bay Lakers. I've toured the facility a few times. I've shot baskets on the court. I've seen the facility through and through, and it is a beautiful, beautiful facility. But they are going to restructure that facility that fits more of a futuristic and more modernization of which NBA facilities are starting to look like. Already significant upgrades are already underway. The South Bay Lakers, which I just mentioned, they're already relocating to Coachella Valley, where they're going to have their own arena and dedicated facilities. That moves up valuable space within the Lakers' current practice complex, and the Lakers aren't wasting that opportunity. And according to multiple sources, even team officials, the organization plans to install new biomechanical labs, movement analysis technology, recovery facilities, and sports science infrastructure designed to improve player development and injury prevention. Think about that for a second. This isn't a cosmetic renovation. This isn't new paint on the walls. This is a complete investment into the science of their performance. The Dodgers have spent years becoming one of the most technologically advanced organizations in baseball. Player tracking, biometrics, performance optimization, medical research, recovery science, and now the Lakers are adopting many of these philosophies. For a team that has battled many, many injuries throughout the LeBron James era, that's a significant development. And if these investments can keep players healthier, recover faster, maximize performance, and benefit from all of these different changes, man, that's just another major storyline in the infrastructure of the Lakers that is a positive. For so many years, there's been negatives about the organization, about how it's been being run. Now this is a positive for the Dodgers. And Jeannie Buss remains the team's governor and will continue to oversee day-to-day operations for the foreseeable future. But there is no question that this is now Mark Walter's franchise. And with the ownership change that, it's come with some difficult decisions. Obviously, last year, Joey Buss and Jesse Buss were removed from their front office roles, and that was part of the broader organizational restructuring. Both had been involved with the franchise for decades and represented a direct connection to the Buss family era. And I think, obviously, their gripe was that their father, Dr. Jerry Buss, wanted them to overtake the Lakers someday. And obviously, look, that was his dying wish, but that wasn't in the Lakers' best interest. This is what the Lakers' best interest is. Okay? Mark Walter investing into the Lakers like this. This is something Dr. Jerry Buss would do himself. If you think about it, yeah, his dying wish was to have his kids oversee the Lakers. But no, this is exactly what Dr. Jerry Buss would want. If you think about it, somebody coming in and just throwing money into all of the development around. I mean, this is significant. I think this is exactly what Dr. Jerry Buss would want. But whether fans agree with those moves or not, they signal something really, really important. No position appears protected simply because of the history. Walter's group seems focused on building the structure they believe gives the Lakers the best chance to compete long term. And we've seen already reports that several executives connected to the Dodgers organization have taken advisory roles with the Lakers, creating an unprecedented crossover between the two franchises. Again, that's not accidental. That's on purpose. It's deliberate. So all in all, I think this is a great thing for the Lakers organization, not just for this year coming up, but for many, many years into the next decade of what Lakers basketball could see. And this is a great thing. This is a great first few steps for the Lakers to take in their organization. And, players are going to see this. They're going to see what the Lakers organization is doing, and they're going to want to be a part of it. I guarantee it. There's some things that just come up while you're sitting and recording, and it just kind of takes you for a whirlwind here. As I'm sitting here recording this, Adam Schefter tweeted out that the Browns are finalizing a trade that will send two-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams per, Rap Sheet and Tom Pelissero and me. That is Adam Schefter. In exchange for Garrett, the Rams are expected to send Pro Bowl edge Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, and other pick compensation is still being negotiated to the Browns. Wow. So Jared Verse from Myles Garrett, the Rams are sending, and they're trading. Wow, that is unbelievable. For me, it's really like bittersweet when things like this happen, because Jared Verse, you hate to see homegrown talent traded off like this. It's really just kind of irks me in a way, because I love homegrown talent, and I wanted to see Jared Verse be a champion with the Rams. Obviously I wanted to see him continue his career with the Rams, but this is not to be expected now. It seems like the Rams are going all in for this 2026 season coming up. It's very surprising. Myles Garrett, obviously a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, you're getting back. This almost seems like what the Rams did back in 2021 when we traded Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. It just seems like it's that all-in type of deal. Let's see if it pays off for the Rams, but very, very surprising here. The Rams are trading Jared Verse to the Browns for Myles Garrett. It's funny because I was actually going to talk about the Dodgers right now, but you know what? Let's go ahead and continue talking about the Rams. While the Rams are heading into summer OTAs here, big news coming out for Matthew Stafford, quarterback, QB1 of the Rams. He signs a new contract extension with the LA Rams, which is expected to be about $55 million in total for the extension. The deal, and this is coming from Adam Schefter from ESPN, the deal for the star quarterback can rise as much up until to $60 million with incentives, sources said. Stafford was scheduled to make $40 million in the 2026 season. Of the $55 million extension, $5 million is a roster bonus that is fully guaranteed at signing, per a source. The remaining $50 million becomes guaranteed at the start of the 2027 league year, the source said, and the deal also includes a $5 million incentive each year tied to playoff success. And so Stafford, he's now tied to the Rams for at least 2 more seasons coming up, but this is all in part, I believe this is all a part of the succession plan for Ty Simpson. Now he's going to be continuously being under Matthew Stafford's wing. Stafford's going to be QB1 this year. But going forward, if he continues to play very, very well, Ty Simpson can possibly redshirt it again for another year. But this is all part of the succession plan, I think, that the Rams have going forward for the franchise. Stafford is coming off an MVP year. He is literally the MVP, so why would you want to get rid of the guy so soon? The guy still has a lot to contribute, a lot of good football still left, and so you lock him up for the next 2 years, have Ty Simpson waiting. This is the succession plan that the Rams want, and if all things go to plan here, obviously Ty Simpson can learn a lot of things under Matthew Stafford, just watching from the sidelines, and if anything were to happen to Stafford during the season, you have somebody that has been sitting there now under the learning tree. So we talked about this before, but last March, a woman in Los Angeles had filed a civil lawsuit against Puka Nacua, alleging that the Rams wide receiver made an unprovoked anti-Semitic statement and later bit her on the shoulder. The lawsuit cites gender violence, assault and battery, and negligence. Now, this all happened in March. In the lawsuit, Atibi, that was the woman in the car, I think that was her last name, said that she was in the car with Nacua when he forcibly bit her on the left shoulder, leaving a circular imprint of his teeth and on her body. The lawsuit also alleges Nacua bit her friend's thumb in the car, with such force that her companion screamed in acute pain. So basically, with all of that, Nacua entered himself into rehab. This was all on Nacua's volition. And on Thursday, in a press conference after OTAs, Nacua spoke to reporters about his time in rehab. He said, "I'm doing great. It's been a busy offseason, but it's been good. Nice to be back around football and around a bunch of the guys." For the Rams wide receiver, and I'm reading this from the Rams.com, these first 5 weeks of the offseason workout program have been a welcome sense of normalcy and routine. Nacua expressed a gratitude for the support of his teammates and head coach Sean McVay since taking the steps to become a healthier version of himself in response to the off-the-field incidents. Nacua said that he's learned that it's okay to ask for support, and it's also to recognize the importance of using the platform he has as a pro football player for the betterment of himself and those around him. I've been really grateful for the support from the organization, said Nacua, especially my teammates, to people reaching out at different times of the offseason, just one, checking out how I'm doing, see how my family's doing with my son growing up as he is, Nacua said. So I'm just really grateful for the people around me and this organization. Nacua also said asking for help was a little bit of a big hurdle, pointing to coming from a big family and the next play mentality that comes with immediately moving on from mistakes when he's playing sports. But he attributed it to doing so, recognizing for himself because of where he is at and the encouragement from some other people in his inner circle. There's some more said about, his time here in rehab, but most importantly, it's really good that Puka Nacua has taken the time this past offseason to recognize the importance of getting himself right. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible incident there. The anti-Semitic remark and, physically assaulting somebody like that, not good. And it took a lot of people by surprise of this coming from Puka Nacua himself. And so it's good that he's recognized that he needed the help and getting his mental health on point and accepting help. That's the biggest part of it. And so props to Puka Nacua. Hopefully nothing like this ever happens again in his life. Not only his career, but his life. And so hopefully he's able to just steer the ship correctly, and hopefully it's another great season for him. I mean, the guy has been on the trajectory, on the rise for quite some time. But, obviously, in your personal life, sometimes for these pro athletes, it takes a little bit of a hit. So if he can get himself right here, that's just what you want to see in general for Puka Nacua. All right, last but not least here, we are going to be talking about the Dodgers. The last 15 games or so for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers have entered June, one of the hottest teams in baseball. After a shaky start to May, Dave Roberts' club has completely flipped the script, winning 14 out of the last 17 games and taking control of the NL West race. Over the last 15 games specifically, the Dodgers have looked every bit of the championship contender, the back-to-back World Series champions that we are and that many expected us coming into the season. And the biggest storyline has been the offense kicking it into another gear. Andy Pages, can't say enough about that guy. He has continued his breakout campaign and has become one of the most dangerous hitters in the lineup. During the stretch, he has consistently produced at the top of the order and has given the Dodgers another star-level bat behind Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman. Pages even moved into the number 2 spot in the lineup during the Rockies series, which is a pretty clear indicator that the coaching staff has a lot of confidence behind him. And that decision has paid dividends for the Dodgers. One of the most notable lineup changes involved Mookie Betts. After returning from a 5-week absence caused by an oblique injury, Betts struggled to find his timing at the plate, but rather than leaving him in his traditional spot, something Dave Roberts did, which I agree with, is that Roberts moved Betts down to the cleanup role in an effort to take pressure off of him, and I think it really just took a lot of pressure off, and it changed his approach. He erupted for 2 home runs and 5 RBI performance against Colorado and looked much more confident. And Shohei Ohtani, he continues to lead the way and is continuing to be the centerpiece of the offense and really just continues to have an impact both on as a pitcher and as a hitter. Let's look at his stats so far in the 2026 season. He has, so far, 10 home runs, 58 hits, 37 runs, and 207 at-bats, and has played in 54 games. So, again, an MVP type of season for Shohei Ohtani, which is basically just the use for him now. Nothing out of the ordinary, and just Shohei just doing Shohei things. He did have a scary moment where he was hit in the hand against the Rockies in one of the games, but the club removed him as a precaution, and it avoided serious injury. And I feel like he does that all the time, though, if I'm not mistaken. The Dodgers... my voice right there. The The Dodgers have also received major contributions from Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith, the veterans, Freeman continues to be a stabilizing force in the middle of the order, while Muncy has provided so much needed power after dealing with a wrist injury earlier in the month. But Will Smith, he remains to be one of the best offensive catchers in baseball and just continues to be an anchor of the lineup. But then you got the young players as well. They've emerged during this stretch as well. Rookie Alex Freeland has been, he was called upon due to injuries and has been just a blessing for the Dodgers, and has provided really quality at-bats and defensive versatility as well. Ryan Ward recently earned a call-up from the Dodgers, and so he made an immediate impact by launching in his first major league game against Philadelphia. Dalton Rushing also too. He's also just continued receiving opportunities behind the plate, and the organization, they really value him. And so those young guys, man, they're going to be the future of the Dodgers, alongside all the other stars that the Dodgers have. The pitching, Yamamoto, he is our true ace. In his latest outing against the Phillies, it was one of his best of the season. He struck out 10 batters and dominated one of the NL's most talented lineups. The Dodgers have relied heavily on Yamamoto, and amid a wave of injuries, he's just been really, really just their solid ace. So Yamamoto doing Yamamoto things. The rotation has been significantly impacted by injuries. Blake Snell landed on the injured list again with elbow issues and eventually underwent a procedure to remove loose bodies in his elbow. So that was about a month ago. So who knows when he's going to be able to come back. The Dodgers hope sometime in July. We'll see. Tyler Glasnow has been sidelined by back spasms. He's continued to work through that. Tommy Edman remains out from an ankle injury. So the injuries are just piling up. And then it hit again with Kike Hernandez. He'd come back. He had been out all season long. And then first game back. Actually, this happened in the pregame batting practice. He sustained a pretty significant oblique strain shortly after returning. And so he's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. And then Teoscar Hernandez was recently placed on the injured list with a hamstring strain. So that could keep him out about a month. The injuries have been really, really just packing and just, really stacking up on the Dodgers. And so the Dodgers are going to have to really rely on some of these younger guys to kind of just carry the way through. But also, it's the beginning of summer as well, so there's still a lot of baseball to be played. We're only in the 1st of June here, so we got many more months to come. You got the whole summer to play out here, and so they have a lot of time to get healthy. It's just a matter of getting healthy, and hopefully around August, September, this team can be whole. That's going to be their biggest strength coming into hopefully getting a 3rd straight World Series. All right, that's going to wrap it up on the Dodgers, and that's also going to wrap it up on today's podcast, guys. I want to thank you guys again for listening. You guys are number one to me, number one to Lace 'em Up Sports Media, and again, we can't do this without you. Thank you guys very much for supporting. Again, you can find us on all of our social media channels at Lace 'em Up Sports, and just continue to like, subscribe, and, spread the word about the podcast. Until then, guys, we'll see you next time.